Good evening. We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. At this time, our clerk will read the roll.
Bolden.
Aye.
Boys.
Aye.
Connor. Davis. DeShazier.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Garrett. Hannah.
Aye.
Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
All members are present except for Councilman Garrett.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, would you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Kemp Boyd, who is the Executive Director of Love Akron. Immediately following our prayer, I'm going to ask if Councilman Fusco will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, if we can all bow our heads. We come before you, Heavenly Father, we come before you today with gratitude for those who serve the city of Akron as members of City Council. We lift up each member and asking for your guidance, wisdom, and strength to be with them in their work. Lord, we also lift up the city of Akron to you. You know its challenges, its joys, and its needs. Pour out your blessing upon this city and its people. Bring peace to its neighborhoods, prosperity to its businesses, and hope to those who feel forgotten and discouraged. Let Akron be a place where justice flows like a mighty river and where every person can experience safety, dignity, and opportunity. Grant the council members a heart of compassion and humility, that their decisions may reflect justice, integrity, and a genuine desire to serve the people of Akron. Fill them with wisdom to discern the best path forward, especially in times of division or uncertainty. Give them courage to advocate for what is right and the boldness to speak truth with grace. Lord, we pray for unity among council members. May they set aside personal agendas to work together for the good of the community. Help them to listen with open minds and to lead with a goal of creating a city that thrives, where all residents can find hope, peace, and opportunity. Protect them, their families, from discouragement or harm, and bless them with renewed energy and a focus each day. Remind them of the significance of their role and the trust placed in them by people they serve. Above all, Lord, may your presence guide them every step and decision they make. Their service bring glory to you. May your light shine upon Akron, leading it into a brighter future. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The minutes from our previously held meeting have been provided. Are there any additions or corrections? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The motion to approve the minutes passes 12-0.
We'll now move to our public comment period. Just going to ask all those who have signed up to participate, if you'll please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by our clerk.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Just going to ask, when you hear your name, please approach the podium, and you will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. And we are going to begin with Brian Lucy.
Good evening, Madam President, council members. My name is Brian Lucy, President of Akron FOP 7. I came here tonight to address Councilman Garrett, but he's not here, so I'm going to read this anyways because I think it's important. The last 30 days have flown by. At the last meeting I tried to speak at on December 16th, Councilman Garrett had an issue with the FOP members showing up here in support of our brother. As a reminder, it was not the FOP members throwing items like this pig at people standing in line to get inside the building. It was not our members shouting profanities at anyone. It was not our members acting out of order, talking over council members as they conducted business. And it was not our members preventing you from leaving the building or the parking lot that night. It was the miscreants in attendance. Councilman Garrett mentioned something about the FOP showing up to Lane Field or doing other community events. Just so he knows, we are involved in the community. Over the holiday season, we made several different donations to organizations here in the city to make that Christmas season more enjoyable for those less fortunate. We were the biggest contributor to the police department's tradition of adopting a family and delivering groceries and presents for them. Members participated in Shop with a Cop, where they took kids shopping, had a meal with them, and offered mentorship. In 2024, our organization donated over $30,000 to the Safety Support Center in Akron, which provides countless services to first responders in this city and county. Last week, we heard about all the hard work that Laura Lawson does in Rubber City Rescue. This is a service that the city should be providing. But when she was viciously attacked by one of the dogs that she rescued, it was not Councilman Garrett who brought anything forward to offer support. It definitely was not our mayor, but the FOP stood up and offered financial support and encouraged others in the community to follow. We don't do this for notoriety. We do this because we care about this community and fostering the relationship between the police department and the community that we serve. Just imagine if we had a councilman that would attempt to bridge the gap between the police and the community instead of creating a divide by telling the community that we are untrustworthy and calling one of our brothers a domestic enemy. Those comments are inflammatory and way out of line, and I'm disappointed that the mayor and the chief did not address that publicly. Councilman Garrett continues to make unintelligent and unsubstantiated statements, implying that we're selling illegal guns to the community out of our cruisers is absurd. I can assure you that this is not happening. But if he knows something we don't, we'd like that money to be funneled back to the station for a working elevator, or better yet, get rid of the cockroaches or the bats. That would be much more appreciated. I know that there's a piece of legislation coming before you about spending $750,000, taxpayer dollars. Just to be clear, after what I told you about things thrown at us, ask yourself, is it the police that need retrained, or is it the community that we serve? What is the end goal spending this money? And is spending this money going to make Akron safer? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lucy. Thomas Tatum.
Good evening, members of the City Council. It's good to be back in the arena. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Thomas Tatum, former employee with the City of Akron for about 35 years, and one happy retired individual right now. I came to this city as a student in community development and urban planning. I was lucky to be hired as an intern in this city with the planning department, and learned as a student throughout my entire career, from an intern to retiring as a planning director. I learned at every step of the way, especially in this forum. Now, I'll tell you, I do things right now in my personal life, consulting in citizen participation, community development in cities outside of Ohio, where I found what I learned here in Akron to be needed elsewhere. But I see my city also still needs a little bit of a refresher. Now, I heard about the Interbuilt, and the city planner and me was extremely excited to hear that you were able to bring in another $10 million on top of the almost $1 million you had for the planning grant. However, the realist in me, and many of you know that I don't tell people what they want to hear, I tell people what they need to hear. And what you need to hear is this: congratulations on your money. Spend it wisely. And what I mean by that is, back in the 60s, when the federal highway and transportation money was given for the quote-unquote renewal of the Interbuilt, think of this, 90 seconds. One of their strategies and studies they put out there that 90 seconds would be what you would save to leave Akron, to get out of Akron by building a 2.3-mile stretch that decimated the community. And we're not talking about decimating the community over the span of building the Interbuilt. We're talking about decimating a community that still is in trouble today. So you get $10 million. Now, you spend about $100 million for the renovation of the Route 59, what I was told when I first moved there, the road to nowhere, to what you have right now. Put on top of that the cost that it was when you purchased the land, when you purchased all the infrastructure, the churches, the businesses, the over 1,300 families that were displaced. And they probably got pennies on the dollars, thanks to redlining, thanks to banks and their discriminatory practices, and some of the things that are going on right now with appraisal gaps that are currently going on right now. So you're talking roughly $130 million at that time. In real-time money right now, you're talking $1.5 billion. You have less time to understand. For my planners out there, add some empathy when you work on these plans and hold these groups accountable that you're bringing in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum. Harrington Hargrove.
Good evening, Council. Harrington Hargrove, 1008 Laurel Avenue, Akron, 44307, Ward 3. The community that Mr. Tatum was talking about is my community. We have been denied opportunity down there in Ward 3. In the paper at the Ed Davis meeting, 1970 is when the disasters start in our community. The land grabbing, the displacement. Every one of you know that. So I'm asking this council to allocate for Ward 3. $10 million, that's fine, but if you were to put that in our community, that would be just the beginning for us. When it's been over $300 million been spent in that corridor. We're not talking about Main Street, because Ward 3 used to go from where I live, East Avenue, all the way down to Main Street to Barry Street. Now, how much money has been put there? And this has been 50 years, 1970. 50 years, and we've been denied. This council should come up with a formula to uplift our community. You do it everywhere else in the city, downtown, everywhere. But in Ward 3, you have neglected us. Ward 3 has probably been the most underserved community in this city. What we had and what we have is a difference. We used to have businesses down there in Ward 3. Worcester Avenue was then. Thornton Street, that whole corridor, we had businesses. All the way to Broadway, we had businesses. A lot of you don't know about that. But this council needs to step forward and allocate money for us. It shouldn't be at the end of the deal, especially like that inner belt. That inner belt, we need to be around that inner belt. We won't be in the black community. If you put us downtown, we're not going to be there. It's going to be rich developers. But in our community around there, Thornton Street, Rose Avenue, you should elevate us. Your interest should be on uplifting us. But you won't do it. And it's a disgrace. I say that quite often when I come down here. It's a disgrace that you don't even look at us. And to bring Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hargrove. Dr. Richard Montgomery.
Good evening, Madam Council President, members of council, members of the Akron community. Tonight I want to pose a question. What is the price of justice in Akron? Is it $700,000 of taxpayer dollars? Is it the trust of a community already betrayed? Or is it the dignity of the black citizens who've been ignored, dismissed, and silenced yet again? We've seen this before. The police-involved shootings of Jasmine Tucker, Jalen Walker, Michael Jones. Those are not isolated incidents. The assault on De'Ara Fields and the child from Firestone Community Learning Center tell a chilling truth. The humanity of black people in Akron is not respected. Each tragedy has been met with promises, audits, and reports. And each time, nothing changes. Each time, the recommendations sit on the shelf while our community continues to suffer. Now, the mayor wants to award yet another $700,000 contract without any competition, without transparency, and without the input of this community. He's chosen a law firm tied to his alma mater. It doesn't take much of a Google search to see that Paul Weiss is a Harvard professor who also owns the law firm. He's sending your money out of state to people who don't know our streets, don't know our struggles, and have no stake in our future. How can outsiders tell Akron how to police its own people? This isn't about expertise. I have a PhD from the University of Toledo. You put me toe-to-toe with any Harvard professor, any Harvard PhD, and we can go toe-to-toe, and I can guarantee you the expertise is not just in Massachusetts. This is about power, privileged power, being used to bypass the voices of the people who live here, who work here, and who love this city. City Council, let me be clear. This isn't just about a contract. It's about your responsibility to the people who elected you. Don't give up your power to act on behalf of your constituents. Don't allow the mayor to make unilateral decisions that ignore the checks and balances of our democracy. The power to demand a fair and transparent process belongs to you. Please use it. We've seen what happens when decisions are made in secrecy. Taxpayer money is wasted, reports are ignored, and the people, particularly black citizens, are left to endure the same systemic problems over and over and over again. You are the city council. Council members have the authority and the obligation to break this cycle. Vote against this contract. Demand an open bidding process. Insist on a firm that understands Akron's unique challenges and works in partnership with its people. The community is watching. We need you to stand with us and for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Montgomery. William Reynolds. And William, we're just going to swear you in right there at the podium, okay?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you.
I'm going to start reading this, and my wife will finish it next meeting. Individuals are innocent until proven guilty, and police officers are no different. But if I was in the same situation, I'd be detained, booked, and most likely held in jail until a judge granted me bond. The police instead are given long, played-out investigation and a paid vacation. I think that the contract should read that pay is withheld from officers until the investigation is through. Make these officers suffer an economic hardship like anybody else. Many of us would lose our job just for being arrested, and then we'd have to fight for it back once vindicated. We would also have the dropped charges follow us for years, as today's background checks look for charges on court dockets. If and only if the officer is vindicated, the officer is given back pay. Also, where was Jalen Walker, Jasmine Tucker, and countless other victims innocent until proven guilty? They were shot before they even made it to handcuffs, let alone a courtroom and a judge or jury. So the police deserve due process, and all of us to mind what words we use. But our black, brown, and poor citizens do not. An injury to one is an injury to all. The ongoing injustices to black men is injustices to all of us. It is a fact of human rights. We give these police officers authority, but that comes with a high level of responsibility. This responsibility is clearly being flaunted in APD, but the citizens are being told to sit down, shut up, and mind their words. We do not blame the police for all the gun violence, but I agree with the FOP's statement, what has the city of Akron become that a 15-year-old need to carry a pistol for protection? Maybe he wouldn't have felt the need to carry a weapon if he lived in a community where he didn't feel like prey. Did Officer Devin Fields start his day planning to kill Jasmine Tucker? I don't know. But if he didn't, he made a huge, deadly mistake. We talk of accountability. If I made a huge, deadly mistake, I would most likely lose everything, up to and possibly including my life. Since our entire country is founded on second-guessing the most powerful authority of the time, the King of England, how is second-guessing the turning of APD into an execution squad dangerous to the community? We fought wars for freedom from oppression by a tyrant. If APD continues to turn into a tyrannical force, Americans will rise against them. It's in our very nature. The fact that the APD officer had a modified wartime rifle in his squad, I'll finish this sentence and I'll be done, is only proof of some police militarization.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Marcia Wolf.
City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Since 1916, through the International Institute of Akron, we've had a history of being welcoming to immigrants and refugees. But Akron is not a sanctuary city. During the last Trump administration, the ICE raids on businesses in Northeast Ohio left families separated, kids coming home from school to find their parents missing, no one to feed them, kids without diapers. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just the cruelest of things that I've ever seen in a place where I lived. The only people who stepped in were the Hispanic community and churches and a few independent citizens. It was cruel. Many of us fear it will be much worse in about a week from today. Our immigrants are not scapegoats. They are not criminals. There are people just like all of us trying to have a life for their kids, their families, be educated, just live, have a roof over their heads. That's what America's always been all about. Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati are sanctuary cities. And I know with the threats from the federal government that it's a hard decision to make to decide to become a sanctuary city. But I would respectfully ask this council to vote us as a sanctuary city, to keep families together, to foster our community, embracing opportunity for all. I would like Akron to commit to limit police cooperation with immigration and customs enforcement. Surely we can play a critical role in disentangling our criminal justice systems from immigration enforcement and provide access to legal representation when people start being rounded up, which is going to happen. I'd like the fingerprint queries to not be misused for immigration enforcement. The U.S. Constitution imposes important limits to ensure the federal government does not use its spending powers to coerce local governments. Can we please show our humanity and please do the right thing by the people who live in Northeast Ohio? Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. I do believe we have Janos online with us. Can you hear us?
Yes, Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. You can begin.
In December 2023, Bethlehem canceled Christmas celebrations on account of the Gaza genocide. Dr. Munter Isaac, the pastor of Bethlehem's Evangelical Lutheran Christmas Church and the Lutheran Church of Beit Sahur, and the dean of Bethlehem's Bible College, proclaimed that Jesus is in the rubble. At that point in time, over 20,000 Palestinians were dead as a result of the Gaza genocide. A year passed, and another Christmas tainted by genocide passed. Pope Francis I displayed the baby Jesus in the rubble on a kufiya. Bethlehem once again canceled Christmas celebrations. Munter Isaac held a sermon on the 20th of December called Jesus is Still in the Rubble. As of right now, potentially over 186,000 Palestinians lie dead, according to the Lancet report. The sentence, Jesus is still in the rubble, should not be an unfamiliar sentence to anyone committed to racial justice in Akron. If I were to rephrase it for our current moment in Akron, I'd say it describes delayed justice, or in the words of Langston Hughes, a dream deferred. There is no difference between still finding Jesus in the rubble and still waiting for justice for Jasmine Tucker, Mike Jones, Logan Johnson, Jalen Walker, Lawrence Rogers, or Muhammad Isafad. According to a nonprofit mapping police violence, over 1,300 people died in the United States thanks to cops. That's over 1,300 dreams deferred. It has been 46 days since Jazz's dream got deferred, 2 years since Jalen Walker's dream got deferred, 5 years since Muhammad's dream got deferred, 2 years since Lawrence Rogers' dream got deferred, 149 days since Mike Jones's dream got deferred, and 146 days since Logan Johnson's dream got deferred. My disappointment in Akron City Council, Mayor Malik, and the police is immense, needless to say. Davon Fields, Brian Harding, Brian Lucy, Judd A. Bishop, and so many others still work in APD despite their record as terrorists and murderers. My disappointment in Mayor Malik and Councilwoman Boyes is particularly immense. Shamus, you have not fired any of the killer cops in your department. Boyes, so far it has been 46 days since Jazz died in your ward, but if you have no statement on the murder, no words to comfort the family. Meanwhile, your colleague Eric Garrett has multiple speeches about what happened to Jazz. A resolution calling for Davon Fields expiring and has to deal with criticism from Feckless Fusco and the FOP Brian Lucy, who, by the way, isn't even from this fucking city. Needless to say, this shows just how badly change is needed in Akron City Council. You need to do something, because frankly, your silence and your ass is showing. And I prefer that Akron taxpayer dollars aren't used to fund such useless asses. And before I need to say it, Dara Fields is suing you guys because of your incompetence, negligence, and complete lack of ethics. So screw you all, you're getting what's coming to you.
All right. Thank you, Janos. That does conclude our public comment period. I do want to just thank everyone who came down to participate. Council, before you, I am so sorry. Yes. I'm so sorry, you are not on my list, but we will double check, okay? And if we find something, we'll bring you up, okay? We do not have her name. We've read everyone's name on the list. Council, before you is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
The consent agenda passes 12-0.
We do have one item up for public hearing, and our clerk will read in item number 1.
Notice is hereby given that the following open comment public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, January 13th, 2025, during the regular meeting to be held at 6:30 p.m. Resolution approving the renewal application of Frank S. and Mary Politz to have agricultural property at 1661 Dreisbach Drive placed in an agricultural district pursuant to Revised Code Section 929.01.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Frank and Mary Politz are requesting renewal of agricultural district designation from the state of Ohio for their property at 1661 Dreisbach Drive. The Politzes have 13.72 acres of land devoted for agricultural use. Agricultural designation will provide benefits in the form of property tax relief for the agricultural use, and planning staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here who wishes to speak in favor or against item number 1? If you'll please stand at this time so you may be sworn in by our clerk.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I decree I do not swear.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to begin with those who wish to speak in favor of item number 1. Those who wish to speak in favor.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We're not enemies in the room. We need to come and reason together. I am in support of this legislation. I'll wait until they finish talking behind me, because they're talking and distracting me. Thank you for respecting me. Keeping women and children alive in 2025 is the agenda, and that is what legislation should be. And before I also support this, I noticed that since Mayor Malik has been elected, he has not been coming to these council meetings to hear the voices of the people. So I'm trying to figure out what his take is on this agricultural concept. Council President Somerville and all of you present today, I am all in support of the agricultural district, but I'm concerned, what is that? Because agriculture is a biblical concept as well as should be a legal environmental concept, and I am concerned. I would love to have Ms. Politz have this, but is it only for Europeans? Is it only for European Americans? How many people who look like me, who are multiracial, black, brown, have these same opportunities? I understand that there's a tax opportunity in this. And I'm concerned because I'm hearing a lot of anger in the room. I'm hearing a battle between the police and the council, and I'm hearing a lot of anger in the room. So when Ms. Politz gets this, who else has this same opportunity? I would love for her to have this opportunity, she and her husband, but I'm trying to figure out, is it only for European Americans, or who else has these opportunities? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Apostolette. If there's no one else wishing to speak in favor or against item number 1, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco, what is the committee's pleasure?
Excuse me, I have some other information for you, for the council.
Okay,
And
thank
please
you.
share the information I give you with the full council. Thank you.
I would like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer? Aye. Connor? Aye. Boyes?
Aye.
Hannah? Yes, the report of the committee is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. This is pursuant to a state law that was developed many, many years ago that encourages farming in the state of Ohio, and it provides a break for folks in terms of their real estate tax as long as they commit to continue to farm their land. And it has to be verified, I believe, by the city and certified by the county before they get that. I'm sure that if there's anybody else in the city of Akron that would wish to apply for this, I believe it's called CAUV. Don't ask me what it stands for because I'm not sure. But it's a program, and if they discontinue a parcel that has been farmed for years and years and years, there's a look back and they have to catch up on their taxes. So it's encouraging farming in the state of Ohio. And this is a procedure that we go through, I believe, once every year. And so with that, and we've done this particular parcel many years in a row since probably the inception of the program. So we're encouraging passage. Thanks.
Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This resolution passes 12-0.
We'll now move to our old business. Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco.
Yes. Well, the committee would like to, is there a petition for, oh, Mike left. Yeah, time on the agenda.
Thank you. Time will be granted. Public Safety, Councilman McKittrick.
Continued time, Madam President.
Thank you. Time will be granted. That concludes our old business. We'll now move into new legislation.
Item number 1, offered by Councilman Hanna, resolution honoring the life of Mary L. Lombardo and expressing condolences and sympathy to her family on her recent passing and declaring an emergency.
Councilman McKittrick,
The committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
I would like to yield to the sponsor, Councilman Hanna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, and thank you, Madam President. This resolution is for my colleague, Phil Lombardo. His mother passed on January the 5th. This resolution is honoring the life of Mary L. Lombardo and expressing condolences and sympathy to her family on her recent passing and declaring an emergency. Whereas, with heavy hearts, we announce the death of the matriarch of the Lombardi family, Mary L. Lombardo, who passed away on January the 5th, 2025, at the age of 96. And whereas Mary was a 1945 graduate of South High School, and whereas Mary was an excellent florist, working at Hollingen Florists, Colonial Florists, and continued to design floral arrangements for all occasions. And Mary was a woman of many talents and interests and an integral member of several community organizations and societies. And Mary will be missed by her numerous family members in this community. The members of the Akron City Council mourns with the Lombardo family, to whom we extend our deepest condolences. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Akron, that the Council hereby honors the life of Mary L. Lombardo and extends its deepest condolences and sympathies to her family on the occasion of her passing. That the Clerk of Council is directed to transmit a copy of this resolution to Mary L. Lombardo's family. That this resolution is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of public peace, health, safety, and welfare, for the reason that this resolution recognizes and honors the life of Mary L. Lombardo on the occasion of her passing. And provided this resolution receives the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members elected or appointed to council, it shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage and approved by the mayor. Otherwise, it shall take effect and be enforced all at the earliest time allowed by laws. You have council condolences.
Thank you, Councilman Hanna. Councilman McKittrick?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for mayor and council as a whole for that.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This resolution passes 12-0. Item number 2, offered by Councilman Garrett, resolution formally recognizing the tragic loss of the life of Jasmine Tucker, expressing deepest condolences and sympathy to the family of Jasmine Tucker, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman McKittrick?
The committee's request is for time, Madam President.
Thank you so much. Time will be granted.
Item number 3, offered by Lombardo, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Navient to provide on-base production support, license maintenance, and project implementation services, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lombardo?
The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, so this company, Navient, supports the implementation of the on-base documentation management solutions necessary for conducting city business.
Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 4, offered by Fusco, ordinance approving the addition of property located in Coventry Township, Summit County parcel number 2200706 to the Coventry-Akron Joint Economic Development District Zone 2, authorizing the mayor or his designee to amend the Coventry-Akron JED agreement to include Summit County parcel number 2200706 in the Coventry-Akron JED Zone 2 and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 5, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement or agreements to grant an easement on city-owned property situated on Summit County parcel numbers 6859582 and 6727717 in the city of Akron, Ohio, to the East Akron Neighborhood Development Corporation, EANDC, for the purpose of allowing access to Middlebury Plaza and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Yes, the request of the committees for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. This is referencing something that we had caught, as everyone's aware, EANDC developed where Dave's Market is on East Exchange Street and Arlington Street, and this is signage that's on Arlington Street. It was inadvertently built on Akron-owned land, and as a result of refinancing, it was caught by the title company. So therefore, this is a lease agreement, so we're recommending that we move favorable on this and grant an easement for that sign that's been there for 20 years. So with that, we recommend approval. Thanks.
Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 6, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Ohio and Erie Canalway Coalition to pursue and obtain funding and to construct various projects associated with the Summit Lake Vision Plan and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Consent.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 7, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into an agreement or agreements and/or legislation with the Ohio Director of Transportation for certain improvements in the city of Akron on State Route 261 and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer?
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. This is to move forward with a project ODOT will be doing and overseeing, and it's to patch the concrete bridge, the All-American Bridge, and also install some netting underneath the bridge to prevent from concrete falling below, and then also to replace the fence along the bridge. And with that, we're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 8, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids or requesting and receiving requests for proposals for underground utility locating services for the Engineering Bureau and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer?
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 9, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Xylem Inc. for the purchase of water meters and transmitters as part of the citywide water meter replacement program and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer?
Thank you, Madam President. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. Obviously, this is to continue with our installation of our new water meters throughout the city of Akron. And with that, we're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 10, offered by Councilman Kamer and the mayor, resolution supporting the Ohio Municipal League's challenge of AT&T's tariff application at the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer,
Thank you, Madam President. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. It's an honor to bring this piece in with the mayor and his office, and I'm not sure if anyone from his office has anything to say in regards to this piece of legislation before I say any comments, but if not, I'll just make the comments. This is basically to move forward opposing what AT&T wants to come in and do with local municipalities, and basically they want to come in and whenever they install new lines and poles, they want us to foot the bill. So we're kind of opposing that. So with that, we're asking for passage, and if any council members are interested in mayor and council as a whole, they're more than welcome to make that motion.
I'll
Okay.
make that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This resolution passes 12-0. Item number 11, offered by McKittrick, ordinance amending Title 11 Business Regulations, Chapter 111, Regulations Governing Specific Businesses, Article 1, Ambulances and Emergency Medical Services, Section 111.008, Charges for Emergency Medical Services and Other Public Safety Services of the codified ordinances of the City of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Councilman McKittrick,
The committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This was studied, and it's been quite some time before it's been brought up to speed as what it should be, comparison to other municipalities. But this billing will in no way increase the residents' fees for transportation, but that's what it's revisited. We're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 12, offered by McKittrick, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement or agreements with Summit County to extend the term of their intergovernmental agreement for the boarding of City of Akron prisoners and declaring an emergency.
Councilman McKittrick,
Consent agenda, please.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda. This does conclude our new legislation for this evening. We'll now move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman McKittrick.
2 p.m.,
Public Safety, Councilman McKittrick.
2:15.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Lombardo.
3 p.m.
Parks and Recreation, Councilwoman Connor. Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco. Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilman Kamer. Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian. Is there anything else coming before council at this time? Councilman Fusco?
Very brief. Just want to recognize someone. We do this from time to time, as we all know, recognize folks that are on a journey, if you will. We have a member of the Boy Scouts of America, I believe, I hope I'm doing this right, working on their communication badge. If you could please stand, as you could tell, pretty well decorated already, Elizabeth Eastman. Right there, and has quite a few badges already, and I just wanted to recognize her in her pursuit for another badge. This is going to be referencing communication, right? Yes, correct. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, Elizabeth. Do you want to approach the podium and say anything so you can really get a communications badge for communicating with Akron City Council? At least just tell us your name, what school you go to.
Good evening, everybody. I am Elizabeth Eastman, also known as Izzy Eastman. I currently attend Firestone CLC here in Akron community. And I am, if any of you are familiar with the rankings of Scouting America, I am currently one rank before an Eagle Scout. So I am currently working on my Eagle project, and that is going to benefit the Akron community of the homeless, and that is my beneficiary. And that is currently what I'm working on and my last step into becoming an Eagle Scout.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you. Councilman Kamer?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to rise and say thank you because I don't know if all of us got the email earlier today, but we had a fire here in the city, and it was in Ward 7. And obviously, some little children were able to make it out of the apartment and jumped out of the window, so they're safe. But what really impressed me is the Akron Fire Department, and I learned that they spent a little bit of time walking around the apartment complex, knocking on doors to make sure that other apartments had smoke detectors. And if they didn't, they were there to install them. So I really appreciate that, and I just want to say, Chief, thank you. And whoever's all behind that besides you, tell them I said thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Kamer, for sharing. Before we do adjourn, we just want to say that we will not have a meeting on next Monday, as we will observe Martin Luther King Day. If there's nothing else coming before this body, I think we do have a motion for adjournment on the floor. If there are no objections, meeting adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding.